Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. Today, I will be presenting an assessment on innovation practices in large organizations with a focus on entrepreneurship, that is, innovation within the business. My role as a consultant is to help identify both obstacles and opportunities to effective innovation and provide feasible, low resource recommendations moving forward. In large scale organizations, innovation can often feel out of reach or slowed by layers of process, policy, and approvals. However, the rise of entrepreneurship where employees innovate within their existing roles is changing that narrative. My goal today is to share findings from a recent interview with a frontline manager and through their lens uncover the real barriers and the potential for scalable innovation already within reach. The entrepreneur highlights the difficulty in securing support from upper management. For new initiatives, even when innovative ideas and motivated team, these structural barriers can limit progress when leadership is not fully aligned or responsive. This reflects a very common barrier in large organizations where decision making is centralized, meaning that only a few group of people will take care of the big decisions, making it harder for frontline innovations to gain traction. In these environments, even well supported ideas can stagnate without clear and timely endorsement from senior leadership. This not only slows down innovation, but can also demoralize entrepreneurs and discouraging future creativity and initiative. Ultimately, innovation must be treated as a shared responsibility where leadership empowers and not just manages the change of process. They also mention that there is a notable resistance from team members, especially when new processes challenge familiar routines. This type of cultural inertia slows down innovation, as employees may prefer the comfort of the status quo over the uncertainty, even if the new process could improve performance and prove to be a good innovative idea. So, when something new is introduced, even if it's designed to improve performance or make things easier, it's often met with hesitation and doubt because staff may worry about whether the change will work or whether they'll be supported or whether it will just create more confusion within the workplace. As a result, even strong ideas can struggle to take hold, not because they aren't good, but because the mindset and environment aren't ready for that change. Overcoming this requires more than just training or instructions. It also means building trust in the change process and introducing it step by step, but also involving staff early so that they help shape the change instead of having it imposed directly on them. Creating that small, low risk opportunity to try new ideas and see quick wins and see what works. Because when employees feel safe, supported, and involved, they are far more likely to embrace change, and that's what really powers innovation from within the business. Additionally, another challenge the entrepreneur points out is that innovation is often limited by the need to follow strict company policies and rules. This is especially true in big organizations where everything needs to follow certain rules and regulations, such as retails, restaurants, hotels. On the one hand, these policies are important. They keep things safe, consistent, and fair. But on the other hand, they can slow things down or even stop teams from trying out new ideas that don't perfectly fit the current system. It creates an awkward situation where people are afraid to take risks or test out new approaches, even when those ideas could lead to better results. The key here would be to find a balance within the business that is protecting what's important, like safety and compliance, while still giving teams some room to experiment, learn, and improve. One of the main takeaways from this interview is the reminder that innovation doesn't always have to be expensive or top down. In fact, some of the most effective changes come from that ground level, from teams who know the day-to-day challenges best and who have been in the work experience firsthand and have a valuable insight on what changes should be made within. These improvements can be small, low cost, and driven by staff themselves. When we empower teams to solve problems locally, we build a culture where innovation becomes part of everyday work and not just something that happens during big projects or strategic overhauls. For this to work, obviously, we need to recognize the structural and cultural blockers that stand in the way, like the lack of top down support can stall even the best of ideas, or the fear of taking risks, especially in highly regulated or hierarchical environments. It makes people hesitant to suggest new approaches and to come up with new ideas. And finally, providing visible support from senior leadership to validate entrepreneurs and reduce that mid level resistance. In short, innovation doesn't always require more resources, it often just needs more support, it needs recognition. Thank you for your time and attention. I welcome any questions and reflections, and if you'd like to continue this conversation or explore these strategies further, I would be happy to connect after the session. Thank you very much. Going forward, I've highlighted a few key points which, if senior leadership wants to encourage innovation, they need to actively support and encourage small scale team led efforts. That means introducing micro innovation initiatives, such as time box low risk experiments that allows team to test improvements within the policy limits while still being able to test how much they are allowed to do and how much they are allowed to change and what ideas they can come up with. But also implement feedback to leadership loops and encouraging upward communication of innovation ideas tied to KPIs. Ultimately, especially in this situation where it is a retail environment, looking at the end of day sales and the weekly budget is crucial for figuring out whether they're being successful or whether things are going smoothly. However, it's also important to focus on how the staff are doing their sales and how the customers are feeling about their experience in the store.